So welcome to Electronics Sequential. So you are watching Digital Electronics lecture series. Okay. So today the topic of discussion is the difference between the combination circuit and the sequential circuits. Okay. So the main difference between the combination circuit and sequential is that the combination circuit does not have any memory elements, whereas the sequential circuit do have the memory elements. The combination circuit actually at any instant of time the output depends upon the present input only, whereas the sequence circuit, the output depends not only on the present input but also depends upon the past history of the inputs. Okay, those combination circuit does not have any storage capability, whereas the sequential circuit do have the storage capability. Okay, so let me take you some examples of sequence circuit. Okay, suppose you are watching some matches in the televisions. Okay, so during the break time, you want to switch from the one channel to the another channel. Okay, so in this case, you don't have to means uh, press the channel number, whereas you can uh, go to the previous channel by pressing the key that is the in the TV remote. Okay, so there is a previous key. If you press this previous key, you can go to the previous watched channel. Okay, and you switch between the two channels. Okay, so that is the examples of a sequential logic circuits. Okay. So let us discuss in both the details about the combination circuit and the sequential circuits. Okay. So the sequential circuit. Okay. So digital circuits, logic circuits may have the combination logic circuit or it may be sequential logic circuit. Okay. So as I have told you, the combination logic circuit are the circuit. Okay. In which the output at any instant of time are dependent only on the present input at that time. Okay. Suppose the output is y and the input is x. So if I want to calculate the output, okay, at time equal to 0 second or time equal to 1 second, then you have to take the what is the input at x, that is the at 1 second. Okay, so both the time instant are same. You can see that it depend upon the time instants are same. So it is the present input or depends upon the present input at that time only. Okay. So that is the combination circuit. So combination circuit are the circuit in which the output at any instant of time depending upon the present input only. Okay. So combination circuit, as I have told you, does not have any memory element or storage elements. Okay. So it does not have any storage capability. So this is the logic diagram of a combination circuit. So it takes the inputs, that is the x1, x2, and likewise, and it will give the produces the output, that is y1, y2, and y2. Okay. The combination circuit may have the logic gates. Okay, so it takes the inputs and produces the outputs. Okay, so but in case of sequential logic circuit, the output at any instant of time, it not only depend upon the present input but also past history of the inputs. Okay. So how to get the past history of the inputs? The past history is provided by the feedback from the output back to the input. So there is a feedback that is from output back to the input. Okay. The sequential circuit are made up of combination circuit and the memory element or storage elements. So let us see the circuit diagram of a sequential circuit. This is the circuit diagram of a sequential circuit. So it has have combination circuit as well as some memory elements are there or storage elements. Okay. The storage elements are actually connected to form the feedback path. Okay. Thus, that is the storage element or memory element do store one bit of binary information. Okay. So the memory elements can have the flip-flops or latches. Okay. It will store one bit of memory information. One bit of latch or one bit of flip-flop can store one bit of data only. Okay. So the flip-flop or latches have the two outputs. So one is in the normal form, another one is a complement form of the stored data. Okay. So this is the sequential circuits. Okay. So there's a differentiate between the combination circuit and sequential circuits. Uh, so combination circuit, as I have told you that the circuit whose output is dependent upon the that is the only on the present inputs at that instant of time. Similarly, sequential circuit are those circuits whose output at any instant of time dependent not only on the present input but also in the past history of the inputs. So combination circuit does not contain any memory element or storage elements, whereas the sequential circuit contains at least one memory elements. So sequential circuit do have the storage capability. Okay. So this is the logic diagram of combination circuit where it takes the input uh, that are x1 to xn and it produces the output depending upon the that inputs. Okay, so y1 to yn. The combination circuit actually consists of the logic gates. Similarly, sequential circuit we have the memory element or storage element. They are capable of storing the binary information. So one flip flop on one latches can store one bit of binary information. The memory elements are flip flops or latches. Okay. So combination circuits are easier to design as it requires the more hardware. Similarly, sequential circuits are comparatively harder to design. It requires the less hardware. Similarly, combination circuits are most expensive circuit, whereas the sequential circuits are cheaper than that of the combination circuits. Uh, then now we have the combination circuit are faster in speed because the delay between the input and output is due to the propagation delay of the logic gates only. Here is the sequence circuit is slower than the combination circuit because of the memory element or storage elements, or we can say delay elements are there. So combination circuit, the behavior is defined by the set of output functions only. But in case of sequence circuit, it is defined by the set of output function and the next state functions. Okay. Actually, what is that next state function and that actually the information stored in the this storage elements at a given time it is called the present state of that sequential circuit. The present state and the output, okay, both determine the that is the next state of the sequential circuits. Okay, so this is the next state that determine the sequential circuits. Okay. So similarly, the design have the less flexibility if the output depends only on the present inputs. But in case of that sequential circuit, it does do have the more flexibility since the output depends not only on the present input but also on the past history of the inputs. The combination circuits have the examples that is the adder, subtractor, multiplexer. Multiplexer is a combination circuit that takes binary information for many input lines and directs it into the single output lines. Demultiplexer, which job is to the reverse of that of the multiplexer. Similarly, we have the encoder, decoder, code converter. These are the examples of the combination circuits. Sequence circuit we have flip flop, shift register, counter. Real time examples are that is the TLC. TLC is the traffic light controller. Okay, that traffic light controller remembers currently whether it is red, yellow, or green. Okay, depending upon it, it switches the next state. Suppose green to yellow only after a given time. Okay, using the memory to sequence to memorize the sequence of lights. Okay, similarly we have a digital clock that uses the counter. Okay, that increment the each poles. Okay, storing the current time, hour, and that is the second. Similarly, we have a vending machine. Okay, so it accepts money and dispense the items, but the internal logic must remember the money inserted in the item selected to decide whether to dispense the products or return the change. Okay. Similarly, we have a television channel selector. Okay. So we can switch between the two channels by using the previous key in the remote. So this is the example of sequential circuit. Similarly, we have a password lock. Okay. So electron lock checks all the entered digits against the stored sequence and it remember each input, okay, to the verify the full code. Okay. So these are the sequential circuits. Similarly, we have the sequential circuit actually of two types. One is a synchronous sequence circuit, another is a asynchronous sequence circuit. So let us differentiate between the synchronous and asynchronous sequential circuit. So as you see, synchronous sequence circuit have the memory elements are clock flip-flops, whereas the asynchronous circuits, the memory elements are either on clock flip-flops or time delay elements are there. Okay. Similarly, synchronous circuit, the change in input signal can affect the memory element upon the activation of a clock pulse. Similarly, asynchronous, the change in input can affect the memory elements at any instant of time. Okay, so we have now there is a clock pulse. Okay, so the output actually change state according to this clock pulse. Okay, so what is the clock pulse? The clock pulse is the actually there is a periodic square wave form. Okay, so it can be generated by a square wave generator, or that is the function wave generator. So depending upon this clock pulse, in case of synchronous circuit, the output can change state. Okay, it checks the input at that time. Okay, so it depends upon the clock pulse. Okay, but the asynchronous does not have any clock pulse. Similarly, the in case of synchronous sequence circuit, the operating speed is determined by the number of time delay involved. Similarly, in case of asynchronous circuit are faster in speed. Okay, because of the there is no clock pulse is there. Okay, so sequence synchronous circuits are easier to design, whereas the asynchronous circuit are more difficult to design. So let us differentiate the synchronous and asynchronous according to some features. So according to the clock pulse is required in case of synchronous circuit. The clock pulse is not required in case of asynchronous circuit. You have the memory elements are clock flip flops. Okay, and the it has the in case of asynchronous there is a on clock flip flop or delay elements are there. So it has the clock edge. So output can change the state according to the clock pulse. And but in case of asynchronous circuit, it affects the input at any time. Okay. Similar speed, it is limited by the clock synchronous circuit. Asynchronous circuit is faster. Design is easier in case of synchronous circuit, and in asynchronous it is difficult to design. Okay. So we have actually differentiated between synchronous circuit and combinational circuit. Then we have differences between the synchronous sequential circuit and asynchronous sequential circuits. Okay, so both are important in case of exam point of view. And this slide are prepared by using these two books. One out of book is here from Anand Kumar, which is from PHA for publication. The second book is from P. Raja, which is Skytech Publications. Okay. So thank you all and stay connected to this channel. So like, share and subscribe for the more uh, videos. So you can comment me in the comment box in case of any doubts. Okay. So thank you all. So have a good day. Okay. Thank you.